Hello all, I wanted to go ahead and update you a bit more on the merger between Nissan and Honda. And for that I want to read a quick article from Clean Technical. This article is from a couple of days ago. Today is the 20th of January 2025. And it says Honda Nissan merger update. Things get complicated. And the article is by Steve Hanley. Says, for years, we've been predicting consolidation would take place in the auto industry as new companies focused on producing electric cars came along and put pressure on existing companies. Those newcomers have a tough row to hoe to scale up their operations to the point where the economies of scale make it possible to turn a profit. But legacy automakers face hurdles of their own because they need to sell conventional cars in order to pay for the transition to electric vehicles. It is hard to ride two horses at the same time. When Honda and Nissan announced a month ago that they intended to merge the two companies, we weren't at all that surprised. Now that there's been some time to digest the merger idea, it appears that there are a few hurdles that must be cleared by Honda and Nissan if they expect to make it to the altar. The biggest is that Honda wants Nissan to resolve its relationship with Renault before the deal can move forward. Nissan and Renault have an alliance dating back to 1999 that Mitsubishi joined in 2016. Citing a report by Kyoto News, Bloomberg says Honda has asked Nissan whether it would be able to buy out Renault's 35.7% share in the company left over from when the two were closely aligned under the leadership of Carlos Ghosn. At today's prices, the value of Renault shares is around 557 billion yen or $3.6 billion. There's another part of this article that says, fear of foreign influences. Honda reportedly is concerned that Nissan could fall under the undesirable foreign influence should Renault's stake be acquired by a third party while negotiations to absorb Nissan are underway. Last year, there were rumors circulated that Han High Precision Industry Co., the iPhone maker known as Foxconn, was interested in a partial or complete takeover of Nissan to utilize its manufacturing capacity and create a pathway for it to become an EV manufacturer in its own right. Seeing Nissan fall into the hands of a Taiwanese company would be unacceptable to the Japanese government. Honda and Nissan have said they plan to announce a framework for their deal by the end of this month and intend to create a separate holding company that would serve as a corporate home for both businesses in August of 2026. Whether Nissan would have the funds to buy out Renault's stake is questionable. Bloomberg says its market value has slumped to about 1.56 trillion yen, while its cash and cash equivalents were around 1.52 trillion yen as of the end of 2024. Nissan is struggling financially, which is one of the reasons why a merger with Honda is appealing. In November, Nissan said it would dismiss 9,000 workers and cut a fifth of its manufacturing capacity after the net income plummeted 94% in the first half of its fiscal year. Nissan now sees its operating income plunging to just 150 billion yen in the year ending in March, down to 70% from its previous forecast. Management also lowered outlook by more than 9%. They now expect virtually no growth for the year. In light of the financial baggage that Nissan brings to the table, some have questioned what exactly is it that Honda is getting out of the deal. When Toshiro Mibe, the CEO of Honda, was asked recently what the strategic benefits of the new partnership were, Mibe-san replied, "That's a difficult one." And what of Renault? It was not mentioned when the two companies announced they intended to merge. Afterward, in the brief follow-up, Renault simply said the company would consider all options based on the best interest of the group and its stakeholders. That is a pretty cryptic response from a company that has a sizable financial stake in the outcome. Tangled webs between Honda and Nissan in China. The second hurdle to the Honda-Nissan merger is that both companies have partnered with Chinese manufacturer Dongfeng Motor which was Nissan's original partner when it first wanted to enter the Chinese market. Dongfeng not only built some Nissan models under contract, but it is also involved in the development of cars, especially EVs. Honda also has a joint venture in China with Dongfeng, which involves EV development and manufacturing. Most recently, it started producing the Honda Ye series of cars, which are only sold in China. Writing for Inside EVs, Kevin Williams said that Honda has been adamant that it wants to harmonize development costs between both lineups. Yet they have an entire brand in China they have spent a lot of time and money to develop, manufacture, and market that compete with parts developed jointly by Dongfeng and Nissan. At a Honda roundtable discussion at CES 2025, Williams asked what would become of the tables of relationships between Honda, Nissan, and Dongfeng. Dongfeng Nissan and Dongfeng Honda are two different companies. Of course, we know the situation, but actually the discussion are between only Honda and Nissan. Sooner or later, we will have to talk about it, but so there's no conclusion over that, said Katsushi Inoue, Honda's global head of electrification business development. He headed that Honda could make a shared announcement about the future of the relationship with Dongfeng soon, but had nothing to add at the moment. From so many perspectives, this mashup between Nissan and Honda feels so messy, Williams said. Honda has said it wants to simplify development and potentially share EV costs with Nissan, but how that will work is unclear. Honda already has 3 joint ventures or shared electric cars development agreements with Dongfeng, Sony, and General Motors that are all unrelated to each other. Dongfeng itself has a line of cars for budget-minded drivers called Venucia, which uses parts from the Nissan, Renault, Mitsubishi parts bin. At the moment, no one knows how this will play out. In fact, even the senior executives at Honda may not know the answer. Perhaps Toshiro Mibe is correct when he says that's a difficult one. Alright, I'll just to summarize this very important article from cleantechnica.com. Honda Nissan merger update, things get complicated. The article is by Steve Hanley, January 18th, 2025. Honda and Nissan have announced their intention to merge, but now face hurdles to overcome before the deal can move forward. The main issue is Nissan's relationship with Renault, as Honda wants it resolved before proceeding with the merger. Honda has asked Nissan if it would be able to buy Renault's 35.7% stake in the company, which is worth about 557 billion yen. Honda fears that if Renault is acquired by a third party during negotiations, Nissan could fall under undesirable foreign influence. In the past, there were rumors that a Taiwanese company was interested in acquiring Nissan, which would be unacceptable to the Japanese government. In addition, there's the question of the funds needed to buy Renault's stake. Nissan has been experiencing financial difficulties, and its market value has declined considerably. The company has announced layoffs and a reduction in its production capacity. Currently, its operating income is expected to be reduced by 70%, and there is practically no growth for the year. Given this situation, many are wondering what Honda is getting out of this deal and what strategic benefits are expected. Renault, although it has a financial interest in the outcome, has not been mentioned in detail in the merger announcements. Another obstacle is the partnership of both companies with Chinese manufacturer Dongfeng Motor. Honda and Nissan work with Dongfeng in the Chinese market, both in vehicle manufacturing and electric car development. Harmonizing the development costs of both vehicle lines is a challenge, as Honda has its own brand in China and competes with cars jointly developed by Dongfeng and Nissan. Although Honda and Nissan have held merger talks, they have not yet reached a conclusion on how they resolve the issues related to Dongfeng. In short, Honda and Nissan face obstacles in their merger plan. Honda wants Nissan to resolve its relationship with Renault before moving forward, as they fear unwanted foreign influence. In addition, there's the issue of the funds needed to acquire Renault's stake. The partnership with Dongfeng in China is also complicated, as Honda has its own brand in the country and competes with vehicles jointly developed by Dongfeng and Nissan. Although no conclusions has yet been reached on these issues, Honda and Nissan plan to announce the details of their agreement later this month.